Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome back. My name's LFX and Borderlands 3 is finally out. Yeah, it probably doesn't seem like I was that excited because not a lot has been posted on my channel of Borderlands 3 itself, but that is because I wanted to test out the game for a few days, make sure that I've at least got myself comfortable with it and completed the majority of the story. I didn't just want to release something as soon as the game came out because one, I had to download it, which took about half the day because my internet sucks ass, and also because I didn't want to get any information wrong or potentially spoil anything for anyone this early. So now it's been a few days, I can talk about the game as I've played it quite quite a lot. Almost every single day I've played the game. So let's get on with the video. So today I'm going to be talking about the biggest changes that I've noticed from Borderlands 2 to Borderlands 3, whether I like them or dislike them. I'm just going to mention them randomly, just based on what I think. This is unscripted, and yeah, I don't have a script or anything, it's just going to come straight off my head. So if anything seems sloppy or out of place, or just kind of like I'm saying a lot, that's probably why. So let's go. Alright, so the first thing I noticed that is a lot different between Borderlands 2 and 3, like was different between Borderlands 1 and 2, is the user interface, or the UI. It's very similar to Borderlands 2 in comparison to Borderlands 1. So the change between Borderlands 1 and 2 is a lot different between Borderlands 2 and 3, as Borderlands 1 went for a 2D format, while Borderlands 2 and 3 both went for a very 3D format. Now the difference that I can notice mostly about Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3 is that Borderlands 3 is going for there's a lot more going on, and you're actually in the future type vibe, while Borderlands 2 is going for a more gritty and not realistic, but gritty and popped out kind of look. Bad and good when it comes to both of those, because when Borderlands 2 initially released, I remember a lot of people were talking about how new and futuristic the UI looked compared to Borderlands 1, and it's kind of similar here as well with Borderlands 3. You won't really notice the differences as much when you first jump on the game, but after a while you do start to notice a lot of changes when it comes to the skill points, the map, your inventory, and especially the lack of the badass stats, which have now been replaced. It's different. I must say it's different. One thing I've noticed is that a lot of things are a lot less shown. They jump out less. You have to kind of look for information a lot more now, as most of the text is the same size and there is a lot of text in some places. So when describing a skill, it will describe what the whole skill is, and then at the bottom it'll say what it does and stuff, and it's kind of small text wise. But Borderlands 2, the percentage multipliers, say if there was like a grenade damage is increased, it will be a percentage and it'll be in a really bright green. But on this game it's just a normal font color and it doesn't stand out to me or anything. It's not jumpy, nothing really jumps out saying, oh my god, you're going to get these bonus stats or anything. So that's kind of a negative there, but it's a very nitpicky thing. It's just something I liked about the UI menus on Borderlands 2. So let's move on. When it comes to UI in terms of the maps are personally very difficult to navigate. I find myself looking at the map at least 5 or 6 times when I'm going to a new location on a map, because not only because of the verticality on the maps, but also because of the waypoint itself. Considering now how big the maps are compared to Borderlands 2, they have the map in the top right corner, the mini-map, it's the exact same size. I don't know if I like that. Obviously, everyone has their own personal preferences. Some people like the maps big, some people like the maps smaller, and some people like the maps as they are now. I do like the map now, but it's kind of annoying when it comes to navigation because I do have to keep pulling up the map instead of using the mini-map unless something is very close to me. Also on PC, I don't know if this is an experience on console, but on PC when it comes to actually going on the map and looking where you're needing to go, you have to drag with your mouse a fuck ton, and there is no way of changing this unless you increase your in-game sensitivity, which I'm not doing just to look at a map. I really have to drag my mouse a lot. It's like that just to see different layers on the map, and I don't know if there's a way of changing that, but if there isn't, please add that, Gearbox, because it's really annoying for PC, at least at the moment. Now the inventory is something I need to talk about. because I don't know whether I like it or not. It's gonna take some getting used to. I think that's a 100% definite. When it comes to the inventory in Borderlands 2, everything was in a block formation. It wasn't free scale like it is now, where when it comes to selecting guns, in Borderlands 2 it was all clumped together. So everything including guns information, how much damage it had, the actual guns itself, what was in your inventory and what was on your backpack, what you had equipped even, sorry. But now it's all separated, so the things you have equipped are on the left side, and the things you don't have equipped are in your backpack or on the right side. And though I agree this does kind of have the freedom of seeing your character in the middle holding the guns, you don't really need to see your character holding the guns to know whether a gun is good or not. It's kind of a gimmicky thing. I don't really know whether I like it or not, but it is just because I am used to Borderlands 2 and obviously now the pre-sequel's way of dealing with the inventory system. It's very, very... it's better than Borderlands 1 at least. Borderlands 1 was very, very clunky. It only had the gun's name and then what type of gun it was, and then it would have the element if you hovered over it, but it would not have a picture of the gun itself, and it would not show itself being equipped on you. It would just equip itself when you came out the inventory. Now it will actually equip the gun and you'll pull it out whilst in your inventory, which I like, but it is a lot different to Borderlands 2's inventory. One thing that it does better that I have noticed that they didn't really show anywhere, it's to do with the social features, is the inspecting and then adding a skin to your gun, also a charm or trinkets or something. I still don't know how to add trinkets onto my weapons, if you can even do that. I know that there is such thing as trinkets and I unlocked a few, but I have no idea how to put them anywhere. I haven't looked up a tutorial yet because I kind of feel stupid looking at a tutorial just to put trinkets on a weapon. But when it comes to customization to your weapon in terms of skin, I only realized that I could do that today, and I only realized that I had skins equipped and ready to use, which was very confusing to me at first because I was like, why can you paint your gun? But then it made sense because some white guns look absolutely terrible where they're just generic and you can put a cool camo on it. So it's pretty nice. I suppose there's nothing really to complain about when it comes to that. It's a very nice feature, and hopefully that is something else they can add cosmetics for, because you can have really nice looking guns, but it does kind of get away the originality of some guns if you just slap a gold camo on everything. But then again, I'm just looking for a fucking excuse to complain here, even though I shouldn't really be looking at an excuse at all. So why I've been waffling on a bit here about the inventory and the whole UI itself is just because it's so different. So I would like to move on to the second thing which I noticed, which is obviously the upgrade from Unreal Engine 3 to Unreal Engine 4, which if you jump from Borderlands 3 after playing it back to Borderlands 2, you will 100% notice the difference between playing the games. Now it's great and all to see our favourite characters like Brick, Mordecai, Tiny Tina, Lilith, Reese, Zero, Maya, Moxie, Sir Hammerlock, Extensive, fucking shit. It's nice to see that all of them have been revamped for the new Unreal Engine, and it's so strange seeing the different characters and how they've all changed. It's probably because of Gearbox and them wanting to add effects and details onto specific characters, but some characters look very, very funny, and this is just what I've noticed. The biggest changes in characters are obviously Tiny Tina. Lilith's a bit of a weird one as well, even though she hasn't really aged because she's a siren. They don't really do that. She's had a complete character redesign from the first and second game. At least in the first and second game she was noticeable in terms of they didn't really change much, just graphical fidelity, and now they've completely revamped her character. You can definitely tell jumping in from one to another game how different she is, just more facial complexity. Her tattoos are more vivid and vibrant, as well as her hair being a lot more red instead of orange now, which is very, very weird to see. I was used to her hair being a Firehawk orange instead of a red, but obviously it is what it is, and that's that. Better characters have been revamped into more of just an updated model. This includes Hammerlock, Zero, Mordecai and Maya. Though Mordecai does look decently different to his Borderlands 2 counterpart. Most of it is just based on age, growing another beard, and also getting a new outfit. He looks a lot taller, but he isn't a lot taller. It's just because Tiny Tina's a lot taller, and she's in this frame picture with him next to Brick. Also, when it comes to Maya, I think Maya and Sir Hamlock are the characters that have changed the least from the second game. I think the only thing that changed with Maya is the hair and the robes, and the only thing that changed with Sir Hamlock was how his eye looked, the reflections, and maybe some character detail. I'll be putting some pictures on the screen, probably. Hopefully I can find better pictures, so you can actually see what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to people changing stuff and things like that. But it's very noticeable, changing from Borderlands 2 to 3, and it can be kind of sad looking at your characters that you've just grown through a lot of years, like 6-7 years, and they just look completely different now. Moxie is obviously one of them. She looks fucking weird now compared to Borderlands 2, and obviously everyone gets older, so that's that. But it is something I noticed because obviously Unreal Engine 4 brings a lot new to the table compared to the Unreal Engine 3, at least in terms of detail. The next thing here is going to be the enemies. Now, the enemies in Borderlands 2 are iconic, from the Marauder to the Psycho to Handsome Jack himself. This changes in the third game. A lot of the enemies are not returning from the second and first game, like the Marauders, like the Killer Marauders, like Elite Marauders. They don't return at all. Neither do Midgets, unfortunately. They are rebranded as Fanatics and Tinks, which I don't know if I agree with Tinks, but their character model certainly looks and is animated very, very nicely. Psychos obviously make a return. They are the most famous character in all of Borderlands. They're obviously on the face of every single cover. Borderlands 3 obviously having that cool Psycho with all the roses and stuff around, with all the golden guns, making it look really nice. Psychos, of course, have a revamped update. Instead of having the red on their mask now, it is orange. I think I'm being right with that. Let me just make sure. I'm actually wrong. There is no orange on the Psychos in Borderlands 2 and 1. I'm looking at the Borderlands 2 cover for the PlayStation 3 right now, and the Psycho is got brown on his mask instead of orange like the new one. And also on the new one, he kind of looks like he's wearing a gas mask because he has the little holes on each side of his face. But on Borderlands 2, just has one in the middle and a little hole slot for his nose. Let's compare these really quick. So I'm going to put a Psycho next to another Psycho. You can see how different they've changed. A lot of people don't think there was much of a difference change-wise between Psychos in the second and the third game. But there 100% is. You just need to look into it. At first glance, you will not think there's a difference, but then there definitely is looking back. When it comes to Handsome Jack as well, obviously people are going to bring this up when it comes to the main villains. Tyreen and I can't even remember the other guy's name. Calypso's. Troy. That's him. Tyreen and Troy Calypso. The brand new enemies of the game. The brand new main boss villains in this game. So what do I think of them? Because they are obviously a big change from having Handsome Jack talking in your ear 24/7 to these guys talking in your ear quite a lot of the time. What do I think of them? Well, first of all, the character models are very nice to look at. They're very cyberpunk kind of looking. Obviously, Troy has that really, really long arm, which makes his character model just look really weird. He's thin. He kind of reminds me of Machine Gun Kelly. And then you've got Tyreen, who is a sassy bitch, and I actually kind of like her when it comes to her character. Their motivations are pretty nice as well. They just wanted to cleanse the world, which is a lot of very tropey and cliche things there, but it's their reasoning behind it, because they weren't loved by their parents and they were kept in a little locked room because they were secrets, as they were obviously sirens, and they just want everyone else to feel loved because they weren't. Obviously their experience of love is a lot different to what people may think is love, by killing all their followers for fun and views on the EchoNet, which is basically the internet of Pandora and, well, Borderlands. That's the part of the thing when it comes to their whole story I don't really like. It's the social media influence, the whole losing followers, gaining followers. It won't age well. I assure you, things like that will not age well. If you look back at some things from Borderlands 2, a lot of the references and tropes and shit like that don't make any sense now, but they did back then. like there was this cool thing about RPGs and MMOs, and MMOs aren't as big now as they used to be, unfortunately. So a lot of people, if they go new into the game, they won't understand some of the memes that were coming from it, some of the references that were made, and some of the little tropes that were in the game itself. And it's going to be the same here, unfortunately, when it comes to them getting followers on the Echonet and streaming things. It's just annoying whenever they mention it, and I don't really like the whole narrative when it comes to that. Obviously, it is personal preference, but I would have preferred them to be more like they just have a band of followers for another reason instead of having followers on the Echonet. I mean, do you really think that a psycho will be able to navigate through the Echonet and click on a stream and then decide that he likes it rationally and then start following a cult? No, a psycho isn't going to do that. They're just going to scream something about their mother and then decide to kill someone with a buzz axe. It's a cool trope, but I don't think it will age well. I do like the villains, though, the way they are worded character-wise, the way they always just pop up out of nowhere and kind of just annoy you. It kind of feels like Handsome Jack, apart from he doesn't actually pop up to annoy you. He's just in the background doing his own thing, which kind of made him the big villain because you never really meet him properly until the end. But with these guys, you do meet them a lot way through the campaign. They keep popping up to annoy you, and it's just unfortunate because every single scene that they are in is a cutscene, obviously, because otherwise your Vault Hunter could probably beat the shit out of them easily. It's really all I have to say about the main villains there. When it comes to the planets and all the NPCs on the different planets, I do like what they've done. It adds a lot more variety. Obviously, the Children of the Vault go from every single planet, so you are going to see all these fanatics, tinks, psychos everywhere, but you'll also see new improved enemies, like you got those cat looking things on Eden 6, can't remember exactly what they're called. You have the Varkids returning, the Raks returning on Pandora, you have Spider Ants returning on Pandora as well. A lot of the old things, you got Skags obviously, and then you got these dinosaur looking things on Eden 6. I can't remember any of the names of these, unfortunately, which is kind of bad, but that's only because I can only remember the names of the old enemies, obviously, because I played with them for years and years and years. You've also got Promethea, where they have the Malawan people who are taking over, so you got the mechs and all their soldiers. They were pretty nice to fight against. They had some pretty interesting mechanics, and the way you fought them was very interesting. You had to combat each enemy differently, which I really liked. Some of them have shields, some of them didn't have shields, some of them could like zip around the place, some of them were obviously armored because they were in a mech suit, some of them had random weird robot things that were like nanotech, and they could like make a shield out of it and then send loads of them to kill you and then send off shields everywhere. They were really annoying to fight, but it's very interesting how you have to fight each enemy differently, and obviously the multiple planets do help this, as each planet has different enemies to fight against mostly, unless you are fighting Children of the Vault most of the time when it comes to the main story. Guns are a big part of Borderlands, and they are no exception here. This game boasts over a bazillion guns now, or something stupid like that. Obviously, that isn't the case, as Borderlands 2 boasted having over a bazillion guns. And the combinations was around 247 million, I think. So obviously they don't have that many bazillions of guns. It's just physically impossible. But it is that weapon randomizer coming back again, but giving you more options this time. Each gun feels and looks moderately different from the last one you picked up. Unlike in Borderlands 2, where you can get a few guns that just change like the grip or like the barrel or something stupid like that, and you barely notice a change because I mean, it's not really a change you can notice that big, but in this game you really do notice it. And also because of the newcomers that are into the game, you can actually look at specifics when it comes to the weapon itself. So if you were a big Borderlands 2 fanatic, you probably know about the different weapon parts, what they do and what they're for and things like that. So obviously you have like melee, you have grip, you have accuracy. Well, grip and accuracy is the same thing, so you have damage, accuracy, you have melee, you know, like extra splash damage or extra critical hit damage, you know, shit like that. You know, that's an example of some of the things. And you could tell whether a gun was good or not based on the different grips and barrels and optics and foregrips and shit like that that were on the gun itself. And now you can actually look into that further. If you inspect the gun, you can go across and look at the specific things and what they actually give to your gun in terms of percentage damage multipliers, crit hit damage, melee damage, whatever. so that's really nice. One thing that I need to say about the gun system in this game, though, is the frequency of legendaries that are dropped in this game. Unfortunately, there is a lot of legendaries dropping in the game for me already. In Borderlands 2, you'd be lucky to get maybe 3, 4 legendaries on your first playthrough. I was lucky enough to get 6 on one because I managed to get a drop from Knuckle Dragger. Then I managed to get a drop from Boom and Boom. Then I managed to get a drop from Captain Flint. Then I managed to get a drop from Wilhelm. Then I managed to get a drop from Wilhelm again. It was very lucky. And I didn't get anything from the Warrior, I don't think. I can't remember. But it's a lot of legendaries. That was a lot of legendaries for the run. Because getting a legendary on a first try on a boss is very hard in Borderlands 2. And you need to get very lucky for something like that to happen. And in this game, it is frequent. Very frequent. Too frequent, I reckon. Because I fought bosses and I was getting a legendary at least once every boss battle I was doing. Maybe this is lucky. I don't know. Because I've only played through the game once. But right now, I'm level 32. Which I don't know. Obviously, max level right now is 50. I don't know whether I'm close to completing the story or not. But level 32 is quite moderately high. But also a bit low. I haven't completed the game once, and I already have over 20 legendary weapons. Yeah. And that's kind of bad. And my vault, or my bank, is full of them. Some of them are obviously from pre-ordering the game, or not, or the deluxe edition, I think it is. You get some guns from that from the mail. But other ones I did just get legitimately, which makes it very weird because it gives the legendaries less exclusivity and less shiny-ism when it comes to rarity. Back in Borderlands 2, if you got a legendary, or even in Borderlands 1, if you got a legendary, it was very, very exciting. I would be very excited if I got a legendary in Borderlands 2 even today sometimes against certain bosses. Obviously there are farming routes to cheese bosses and get legendaries easy, but I mean getting them off specific bosses for a specific reason, like Vermivorous or Terramorphous or the Bunker, something like that, and getting the loot specific drop. But on Borderlands 3, I don't really care that much about when I get a legendary. I just sort of go, ooh, nice. It's a weird feeling, and honestly, from all the legendaries I've used, only about 5 of them I think are really good in terms of their aesthetic and what is unique to that good in particular.
Now obviously the best thing I gotta do is get to level 50 as quick as possible, and make sure that I can get the legendaries again to test out guns at this best level that they can be at the moment. But yeah, that is all the things I can really say about the guns. The Flakka is really, really nice, I can probably say. That's my favorite legendary right now, which is kind of a bad thing considering it is a reoccurring weapon from the first game. There's another few weapons, but I can't remember the names of them unfortunately because they're that forgettable. They all have pretty unique designs from a Destiny type perspective where the skin's different and the gun kind of looks similar, but some of the guns have nice aspects. But obviously once again the problem is the levels. I had a level 13 legendary that I picked up and I was using it way into level 20 enemies, but if I had level 50 weapon and I was using it against level 50 enemies, I feel like it could perform a lot better than it did against the level 20s, obviously, because it'll be the same level. So I'm going to hold my bias off because of that. But other than that, guys, I have been recording for a long ass time now. I just want to get a lot off my chest off Borderlands 3. The differences between Borderlands 3 and 2 are very, very big. And it's so weird that finally, after 7 years, I finally get to play the brand new Borderlands game as soon as it comes out. Didn't pre-order it, but I bought it the day one release, the deluxe edition, so I'm very happy with my choice. I'm maining Moze right now. Let me know in the comments who you're maining and why, and which character you're having the most fun as playing, what your favorite gun is, who your favorite character is, and I will see you in the next video, guys. Peace.
Let's go. What can you do for me? Hold up, no one's using me. I'm not in and on some foolery. That's not how it goes down usually. None of this shit ain't new to me. Man don't care about your jewellery or what guy you used to be. All man need to know. Yeah, man, I'm in it. Too sick with it. Man know me, I ain't got no limit. Rest in peace to the beat. When I kill it, I'm a known MC, but I'm not a prick with it. Just came off the phone to Eleanor, update on my diary like Bridget. Man said that he's gonna do best shit. Since then it's been up in the air, no Quidditch. People get gassed.